We are live. Welcome back. This SDHO is really a continuation from the last one, but you definitely don't have to watch the last one, and maybe you don't even want to watch it because, as the name of this SDHO suggests, drum synthesis, but with collision, whereas last time it was drum synthesis with operator. You might want to just watch both because one is more traditional synthesis like operator and the other one is physical modeling synthesizer. Both interesting in their own ways, but it became clear that to do what I wanted to do, which was design all of the main sounds. So we made a kick, we made a snare, we made a open hi-hat, a closed hi-hat, and two toms. And we did it all with Ableton's operator. We even did a little bit of mapping to some macros, but it just took too long. Well, it didn't take too long, but there was just no way that I could now then go do the same thing with collision. So I think it was meant to be two videos. So when we were designing these sounds in operator, which you could use the exact same methods in analog or wavetable. So it's using traditional synthesis. And what I mean by like traditional synthesis is I mean that you start with the waveform. Maybe it's a square, a saw, a sine wave, a noise waveform. Maybe you utilize those waveforms in an FM fashion. Maybe you use a very complex waveform like in wavetable. But what you end up doing is you use envelopes to shape the sound. An envelope basically says, what will these key parameters do over time? What we saw is when you're making drums, you start high and go low really quick. Isn't that funny? Doesn't that sound like something? We start high and then we get really low. And that's what you do. So like when you hear sounds, they're mostly comprised of volume. The most material parts is volume, pitch, and then it is, I guess you could say timbre, or like harmonic makeup. Going from high to low really quickly gives you a punch. Putting an envelope on the pitch and going from a high pitch down to your intended pitch gives you a big punch. And so we saw that when we made these, we took different approaches to, with these envelopes going from high to low and giving us this punchy sound because percussion, drums, it's like very percussive. It's very explosive. You know what I mean? If you've got music, it can be like, do, 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 do. You know what I mean? But like drums, like, you know what I mean? Like it's very rhythmic. They're very short sounds. But if they're just like, you'd be like, I don't want. What is that? But you need to be. So like that punchy aspect is a big part, and making it kind of sound like how they would naturally sound. Like a kick drum is not going to sound like a kick drum if it's like boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? And like, so I think you know what I'm saying. That was too long of an intro for anyone who was like, let's just get to collision. I didn't need to know any of that stuff. So that's kind of how it is. Collision is not going to be using that kind of stuff. It's going to be completely different. But I wanted to give you that. If you're interested, go back and watch SDHO 21. But we made this kick. We made a snare. Hi-hat closed. Hi-hat open, which I put a resonator on so it doesn't sound like the closed hi-hat. So that could be anything. And then two tom drums. So again, these are just the basic ways you would make them with a synthesizer like operator. So I wanted to get through them rather quickly, so I wasn't going to spend like hours on each of them, but just to give you a good idea. So in any event, while we tweak these, it's helpful to, while you're tweaking them to sort of be like clicking through them and stuff. But it's also good to have a little bit of a pattern. This is the pattern we made. going to turn off that open hat. All right, so I'm going to insert a MIDI track, and I'm actually going to option drag this so I have this MIDI clip so I can audition sounds and like slot them in there and stuff like that. So this one, I'm just going to call it Drums Collision. Give it a different color. And I'm going to drag a drum rack on here, record enable it. Actually, it doesn't even, no, we do want to record enabled it. So anyways, we're in drums collision right here. So collision. So I put it up at C3 because my keyboard hits C3 because I'm using the QWERTY keyboard. Isn't that what it's called? I'm going to rename this kick. Okay, good. So, yeah, let's take this tuner down. First things first, let's take this tuner down because I don't want this high pitch. And in fact, why don't I go and get a spectrum? I'm fine with it being like a C sharp, D flat note. So, what was I going to say before I jumped further? Okay, so the most common drums is you've got a kick drum, boom, boom, boom. You got a snare, got a closed hi-hat. Now, I'm not saying let's make the best kick drum and snares and hi-hats. I'm saying let's go over these techniques to give sounds that are like it. So like right now I'm using collision. It's a physical modeling synthesizer that models percussion. So am I going to get the most like club techno, boom boom, house, kick drum? No. And do I want that? No. Do I care about that? No. But I'm going to make a sound that's going to be like a kick drum. So let's go in here. Now this beam sounds cool. Maybe let's change the material. I mean, that even sounds good. And, you know, we can do stuff over here with the mallet, but even though beam is sounding so good right now, I kind of want to play with it. I knew we would probably go to membrane here because membrane is the most drum sounding. We're doing something that's reminiscent of a kick drum, which can also be called a bass drum. So when I think bass drum, a big drum, I think membrane. Now membrane maybe doesn't sound good. Maybe we go back to beam, but I wanted to go to membrane because I feel like it does the best job. You know, a lot of times when you're doing these things, when you're selecting a synthesizer to use, you're selecting a sampler to use, it's good to kind of like have a strategy. So membrane, okay. Now this is okay, but I want it to be punchier. So let's see if this pitch envelope over here does well. And I've never even used this pitch envelope before. So you tweak it and you turn it. And that pitch envelope, big time. Now let's play with this. Play with this mallet section right here. The volume doesn't matter. The volume is fine. What I care about is these three. And I want to know if it just makes it sound better. Okay, better. What do I mean? Well, I want more punch. I want extra punch. I want a little bit of a click like we were doing before. Does this give me that or not? If not, I don't care. I move on to noise to see if it helps. Maybe even addition noise by itself. Because if you don't know a lot about collision, you have a mallet and or a noise, and that strikes this resonator over here. So let's play. $59 makes it sound better than 50 for me. I'm going to leave that where it was. That wasn't doing much of anything for me. And every other thing under color was negligible. Let's go to noise. I found a noise in default. See how they're both at -30? Sounds like nothing happened. For whatever reason, you almost have to damn near crank noise all the way up to hear it. So I'm going to play it while I turn it up. Not really digging this. I'm not liking noise on this at all. Actually, a little bit. Interesting, just a little bit of noise. Although it seems like we're doing a lot. Yeah, it can give it like a very like synthy, like it was giving it kind of like a noise oscillator and a synthesizer kind of a sound. So what are we gonna do? Let's play with this material. Right where we were was good. Let's play with the decay. And then down here, let's play with these guys. I don't like inharmonics because it just kind of changes the pitch of what we're on. Wow. To be honest with you, I actually would have rather have just played with Beam, and here's why. I'm not hating Membrane, but I need my by the book envelopes, filters, shaping tools, which that sounds really good and punchy. So Membrane's cool, but I would want to bounce it to audio, throw it in a sampler, and then I would want to manipulate it. Let's go to Beam. We're good. We're fine. Time to move on. But by the way, look what we got. So down here's the kick. Listen. So, all right, where's our snare? Let's do snare next. Snare is in the D3 spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back into instruments and I'm going to drag a collision on D3. So now I want something snare-like. I don't need I don't need that kind of a snare, which I'm already wondering if noise. I'm going to actually just start with noise, to be honest, because like snare drums are very noise type. And what I want is I want a sound that is like reminiscent of a snare, but at the same time, you want to think about what this snare does. The snare is on the 2 and the 4. So you have like a pattern like boom, 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 and each time you hear that, that's on the 2 and the 4 of the beat. So, cheers. So a snare, so your kick, okay? The kick drum is like, if you've heard of tension and release, the kick drum is like the tension. It's like whoop, 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 whoop. And you're like, oh my God, where's it going? Where's it going? What's it doing? It's like whoop, whoop. But then when you hear that snare, you're like, oh, got it. Whoop, 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 whoop. You know what I mean? You don't know where it's, you don't know where, you know what I mean? I could just keep making different patterns of that all the time. But when you hear that, so the kick's got a lot of low frequency. The snare has a lot of mid frequencies. So if this thing has got punch, got a lot of mid-range frequencies, I don't damn near care if it sounds like a snare or not, okay? I'm not really using collision to get a snare drum sound. I'd rather just find a snare that I like, put some good saturator or distortion on it if it needs it, some EQ, some compression, dial in reverb, we're good to go, right? But collision, I want to make more interesting sounds. So if someone's like, that does not sound like a snare drum, I don't know what planet you live on, buddy boy, but in my whole days of being on this planet 900 years, I've never, ever so much decreed that a snare drum could ever sound like that, yeah? I'd be like, oh my God, no, just... Let's make a snare drum. Dude, that kick sounds pretty good, man. You want to even sound even better if we threw it in a sampler and put some filter envelope on there. Add some filter drive. Maybe even a little volume envelope if it's needed. And with a punch like that, the pitch envelope will do almost damn near nothing because you can't get more. So listen. Oh, it's so cute. I'm nervous, guys. What if I can't do this? What if I can't make a snare or anything that sounds like a snare? That's like 262 hertz. I mean, that's kind of like a snare tune, but let's go. It's like too bright. Let's put the mallet back on. Ah, oh, shit. Oh my God. Dude, you will have no idea of how loud that was. Holy shit. I honestly don't know how that happened. I literally just hitting it by turning mallet on. Like even I just clicked that on and a big pop came through. That's what I'm telling you. When you play around with collision and tension and you're really tweaking these things, they're randomly can just put out. That was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Like, I'm not even kidding you guys. I don't even know why it did that. Why would it do that? It did it again. I don't understand. What just happened? Oh my God. It's like something got into the machine. What did that? Like, I don't know if you saw all of that. That was literally painful. It's been a weird day. It was weird. I don't know. It was a weird day. It was fine earlier, and it's still all fine, but like, I don't know, man. What the hell was that sound? Like, why did that do that? I'm like freaked out, man. Nothing's even turned up loud. It just, my Lord, I hope like these headphones didn't blow. I've never heard anything that loud. I literally don't know what happened. You never really know. I'm like afraid to turn on noise. Like, am I going to get butchered again? Let's get off Beam. Beam's freaking me out. Maybe we can leave it where it was. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I need like sharp envelopes that I can just crank down. I'm gonna play the clip and do it. Now it almost sounds too much like a snare. I don't even want it anymore. What do you do when a snare drum doesn't sound very good? I know, you know what you do? Sounds too weak. You know what you do? You throw an overdrive on here. Ready? What do you almost always need on snare drums? Reverb. It's too loud now. Oh my God. I hope I do a good job editing this video so I can like maybe show you what I heard. But like, it's not like, ow, my ears. It's constant. Like, it was like, I was like, how could it be that loud? Man, that was insane, dude. And it kept happening, almost as if it was like, I'm gonna get ya. You did a lot of weird voices, and people got offended at home. So we're gonna get ya. We're gonna get ya. Here's the thing. Whether somehow there was a get ya or not, if I believe that there was, then I'm only hurting myself. You know what I mean? So be it as it may, I was about to turn this off because like I was just feeling disoriented. Like, well, maybe it was just a crappy one anyway and I should just re-record it tomorrow or something. But this really does sound like a snare. Or reasonably enough. In fact, if it sounded more like a snare, I'd be like, garbage. That's hot garbage. Because I don't want it to sound that much like a snare. I want it to have like kind of like, you know, a nice collision-y thing. Okay, so where are our hi-hats right now? C sharp 3. C sharp 3. C sharp 3. Hi-hat. Let's hope I don't get brutalized by collision, by the gods of collision, and they will just allow me to just, and by the way, we'll play with velocity on this one because we do need velocity, because there's actually like random velocity information in here. See these like, it's a good pattern. Good pattern for your eighth note hi-hats. Shift tab to go back into, you know, rename this to hat closed. And let's start playing and let's tweak while we play. Because it obviously needs to have a short decay, right? Oh, one of those. I like it. Done. Let's go home. But we need some velocity. Yeah, it sounds too like cheesy, these ones. I don't want any of that. It's weird. It's almost like I just want to give it like the velocities I know of, like the regular ones. That's why like you may want to bounce this down to audio, throw it in a sampler, and then process it from there. You know what I mean? Oh, right there. Resonance 1 material. That sounds, or resonator 1 material. That sounds kind of good. I bet you decay probably sounds good. Try negative amounts if that sounds better. So like, yeah. Let's go back to resonator 1. Let's put it on marimba. Ha! Should probably put some our snare. Let's push this and do Command C. Go into hi-hat closed. Command V. Paste. Hear the reverb now on the, or what's it called? That sounds good, man. I really like that. Wait, where is our hi-hat closed? Let's put a saturator on there. Give it a little bit more saturation, which is like a little bit more harmonic content. Could also put a little bit of compressor on there too. Jeez. Hear that, you know? So if you're not that familiar with a lot of Ableton's devices, see how in overdrive here, it's got this little like swoopy loop. And then over here on reverb, it's got shloop shloop. That's a filter. What it says is everything underneath here, all these so basically think of this as like going from lows all the way to highs, and everything that is outside of this is getting cut out, but everything in here gets kept. So before we were over here, so we weren't hearing the overdrive's effect on the higher frequencies because it was being cut out, because I just thought it sounded better at the time, but I realize now I need more like snap in my snare here. So I'm going to play it and I'm going to bring it back to where it was. Check it out. Which you might like the sound of this snare better, but I'm going to go back now. Ready? See, overdrive's very powerful, very good with snares or any sound you want to like fill the function of the snare. And then bonus points, bonus points. Utilities. Where is beat repeat? If you didn't know about beat repeat. That was that repeat button. Yeah, we're done. I hope you enjoyed that. We need to cleanse our palate here with something relaxing. because earlier was nuts and it was just a weird day. So I'm going to go to my samples and I'm going to click white noise because I know I have a white noise sample somewhere. Go to all results. Where is it? Drag and drop. And here it is. White noise. Now, this would not sound all good if I played it because it would be very, very loud. But we've already hurt our ears, so nothing can hurt us this bad anymore. You thought that was bad? Well, I would have lowered it in the production, but that was nothing compared to earlier. Let's go to, so what do? And why did I not just put this in a simpler or a sampler, which is Ableton's 2 sampling devices? Because some people might not have that. And so just to show you how easy this is just white noise, 16 bars. I'm going to go Shift Tab into this mode. I'm just going to minimize these because I don't care about them. I have them on all my tracks. And I'm going to go to EQ, drop an auto filter because you always need a filter. And I'm going to move this down to cut these frequencies out. And here we go. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, I don't know. And like the whole time I'm like, should I just like cut this podcast? Just cut this SDHO out? You know, I probably could have done a better job in a few areas, or maybe I could have didn't have to start by explaining so much in Operator. And I was like, I don't even like this snare drum sound. Didn't think I was going to basically find an identical darn snare drum sound just by playing around. Which that's a crazy thing too, is because if you kind of know what sound you want to make, it just makes the process easier, especially when you're turning all these knobs and synthesizers. So I hope you guys had a good one. Just going to leave it at that. I'm really curious to like edit up this video, like whenever I do, and see what happened to make that noise. And then even after I deactivated everything, like it still made the noise anytime it was like, I've had that stuff happen before to the point where, and I'm so glad I've been using these synthesizers like Collision, Tension so much this year. Now I can use them with ease, and like Collision is like one of the greatest things I've ever used. That's like the first time that's happened on Collision. Normally that only happens if you like do Tension and you use the bow. Things can get insanely really like that, but who knows? Maybe that was just like I didn't even know. It's just weird. But I hope you enjoyed that. If you want bonus points, tweak the velocities in your clip while it's playing, and play around with the velocity panel in Collision and get really good at like which ones sound good modulated, like the LFOs here, and then using LFO 1 or 2 to like modulate some of these other ones. That might be better. Like I said, like LFOs are better for sounds that just like play continuously, whereas like the velocities are better for like shorter sounds. We were going with shorter sounds, so I would say play more with these velocities. These are going to be more global up here, and then as soon as we get to Resonator 1, that only applies to Resonator 1. Can skip over Resonator 2, and then I guess if modulating any of the LFO parameters was of interest, I mean that could be, but you'd have to have LFO things down in here. Don't let these panels twig you out too much. You do want to have a little bit of MIDI variation. What you could also do is just drag a Collision into its own MIDI track, put up a sound you like, and then bounce it to audio, and then throw it in a sampler, and then that might be the better bet, because I'm thinking about all the amazing punch. I could keep the qualities of this kick and snare that I liked, but like, you know what I mean? Like give them a nice filter envelope to give a really nice punch, and just... That's why samplers are so important. They're not just for like samples. So in any event, guys, hope you enjoyed that. If you learned anything, enjoyed it, please comment, like, And I don't know what I'm going to do next for SDHO. I'm just going to chill, and then at some point over the few days it comes to me. But I've got to edit this. I've got to put together this, edit this. Put together, edit the last one, and then still need to get out that first podcast, the Hangout Land podcast, where I just talk, and I was talking about aliens, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, even. Do you even call it Bigfoot anymore? Like, do you have to call it Sasquatch now? I thought it was all regional. Like, if you were here in the U.S., specifically in the Pacific Northwest, you would just call it, like, Bigfoot, but who knows? Maybe it's just Sasquatch. Someone's like, actually, we just call it Squatch now. In fact, we actually call it Squatching. Any event, you guys take care. Hello and welcome.
He's cute, cute, cute.